Last night, FBI Director Kash Patel announced that the Secret Service had found a hunter's nest in a tree with a direct line of sight to where President Trump exits Air Force One. We don't know yet what, if anything, will come of that, but it can't be treated as a coincidence in the wake of yet another week of internet and media incitement around No King's Day. There were open calls at these rallies to assassinate ICE agents. A large percentage of the people at these rallies believe it would be honorable to assassinate this president.
You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
This manufactured assassination culture serves as a cover for those most intent on getting rid of Donald Trump, the modern British financial empire. He is wiping out both the British permanent warfare apparatus and the drugs which finance it. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I'm the co-author of the ebook, A Police Dossier, It's the British Who Murder Our Presidents. You can get a copy by going to the link in the description. Today, I'm going to first talk about President Trump's extraordinary last week. Then I'm going to discuss the roundtable he had on Wednesday concerning the financiers behind the terrorist gang Antifa. Antifa, or anti-fascist resistance, is implicated in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Last week saw the return of the hostages and a fragile ceasefire in Gaza. I urge those of you who came to believe that the president was controlled by Netanyahu, you should watch these two videos. The first is Jared Kushner's speech to the families of the hostages in Tel Aviv. The second is last night's 60 Minutes interview of Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff by Leslie Stahl. You'll see how the hard job of peace is accomplished. It has very little to do with the opinions of pundits and commentators, the people who tell you to pick sides in a religious war which has lasted there for centuries. At the end of the week, President Trump focused on ending the other British forever war, the one between Russia and Ukraine. He set up a new meeting with Putin, which will occur in a couple weeks, and he rejected the bid by Zelensky and his European managers to continue the war. You can feel the British freak out in the Financial Times coverage of Friday's meeting with Zelensky. It has the president yelling at Zelensky, tossing around maps of the front line, and repeating Putin's, quote, maximalist demands. Read closely, the argument was about ceding Ukraine's eastern Donbass region to Russia. The Russian-speaking and historically Russian Donbass has been the center of Ukraine's civil war since the coup in 2014. Citizens there refused to recognize the regime installed in Kiev by the Anglo-American coup. They later voted to join the Russian Federation. Then, on Sunday, Trump escalated his war on the narco-states to our south. He cut all funding for Colombia, citing their resistance to ending the cocaine trade, which flows from there into the United States. So wars and drugs, two weapons the British Empire has used in their attempts to destroy us, and Donald Trump is taking those weapons away. Now, if you find our videos helpful and they help you understand the deeper story behind events, please like and share this one. It increases our reach on YouTube. On Wednesday, President Trump held a roundtable at the White House with independent journalists who cover the terrorist group Antifa. Charlie Kirk's accused assassin wrote Antifa slogans on the bullets he used. Let's listen for a second to Charlie's friend, Jack Posobiec.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here today and holding this roundtable. Antifa is real. Antifa has been around in various iterations for almost 100 years in some instances, going back to the Weimar Republic in Germany. And it's now been just under 1 month since we saw a far leftist murder Charlie Kirk, and we saw thousands upon thousands of people, other far leftists and people in positions of authority, people like nurses and pilots and doctors and HR departments, celebrating the death and the murder of Charlie Kirk. This sickness that's out there is absolutely real. And Mr. President, thank you for mentioning the fact that one of the bullet casings read, "Hey fascist, catch" on it. One of the other bullet casings right next to that had Bella Ciao written on it. Now, Bella Ciao is a song that is known in Antifa circles as the international anthem of Antifa. And all of us around this room that have studied Antifa, we're very familiar with these symbols. And Mr. President, I think the situation is getting worse. When you look at people like Luigi Maggioni, in his 20s, Thomas Matthew Crooks, of course, who took a shot at you, sir, the ICE shooter in Dallas, and now this Tyler Robinson, we're starting to see a pattern of more and more murderous violence. And this same violence is not just random. It is targeted assassinations, which are getting worse. And every single one of us in this room that goes out there, and obviously you as well, sir, and all the staff.
This roundtable was the first public event after the president declared Antifa to be a terrorist group. That declaration means that its funders can be hit with charges of material support for terrorism. The Government Accountability Institute of Peter Schweitzer was a key participant in this roundtable. It calls the funders of Antifa and No King's Day's protests appropriately Riot Inc. They point out that the funders of violence against Trump are all billionaires or the children of billionaires. Yet the recent No King's Day protests went forward with the branding, no kings, no billionaires. Pretty curious. Now, from what I've seen of Saturday's No Kings rallies, it was a complete flop. Thousands of aging bloomers turned out to chant and sing protest songs, but the intention and targeting of Trump was still hyped 24/7 by the media. Here's GAI's snapshot of the organization's funding nationwide unrest. The Arabilla network of Democratic Party funders, down for $79.7 million. The famous Soros network, down for $72.1 million. The Ford Foundation, $51.7 million. The Tides Foundation, $45.5 million. The Rockefeller Network, $28.6 million. And the Buffett Network, $16.6 million. That's the sons of Warren Buffett. Individual funders named in addition to Soros included Mark Zuckerberg, the Swiss citizen Hans-Georg Wyss, Bill Gates, Mark Benioff of Salesforce, and Neville Roy Singham, the Chicago billionaire who now lives and supports China. The fallacy in this follow-the-money approach is that it leaves you with the impression that a bunch of sick billionaires got together and coordinated private funds for the purpose of violently overthrowing the government of the United States over some kind of bridge game. Although I would like to see every one of these people prosecuted for that, the story presented is very incomplete. Antifa has always been an expendable gang controlled by intelligence services for purposes of regime change. The original anti-fascist action was formed at Germany's Weimar Republic by the communists. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, a revived German Antifa was used by the British intelligence services to attack German nationalists and assassinate its bankers and facilitate Germany's subjugation to the European Union. In each case, the anti-fascists were violent street gangs deployed by intelligence services to riot, burn, and plunder and murder during regime change operations and color revolutions. Their funders were rich oligarchs or foundations, but they weren't acting alone. They were not operating as private players. They were completely integrated with state intelligence services. Let's just take George Soros as an example. He worked, yes, for the Democratic Party and for his Open Society Institute here and other think tanks in the ongoing coup against Trump. But his actions were also completely integrated with USAID, the National Endowment for Democracy, the State Department, MI6, and the CIA. Another example of this is provided by the Transition Integrity Project. TIP was set up in December of 2019 to game out scenarios for the 2020 presidential elections. Rosa Brooks, who headed it, had been working with various groups in and out of government against Trump's presidency from its inception. TIP came into being when Brooks realized that the impeachment of Trump would fail. She opted for a color revolution as the next step, and that indeed is what happened. And she spent the time from December 2019 through the election setting one up. According to the War Games, which were published, TIP was concerned about two things in their coup plans. Would the military cooperate in ousting the commander-in-chief if Trump either refused to concede or won the election? The second was establishing control over the street gangs like Antifa, which rioted throughout the summer of 2020 and would be needed now to create riots and unrest, but in a completely controlled fashion. I think if we look at the relationship of Antifa internationally to USAID, the NED, the State Department, MI6, the CIA, and the British government, we'll get to the heart of the color revolution conducted against Donald Trump from 2016 through 2020. Now, all of the elements of the coup we are investigating don't stand alone. They involve the media's information war against the American population and incitement of violence. They involve the Obama White House and the stay-behinds who subverted the first Trump administration from within. They involve the lawfare warriors who tried to impeach or jail the president. Finally, they involve the assassins and street gangs who are paid for their violence. So where do we go from here? President Trump has shown us the path and the forever wars, cut off the narco-states, expose the networks funding violence against our republic, rebuild our economy. The hunter's nest in the tree, the bullets with Antifa slogans, the color revolution playbook, these aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a coordinated operation to stop a president who refuses to serve the empire. Our job now is to connect the dots, demand accountability, and support the investigations that will bring these networks into the daylight. The coup didn't end in 2020, it's ongoing. And the only way to stop it is by understanding exactly who is behind it. Not just the billionaires writing the checks, but the imperial intelligence apparatus directing the operation. Get your copy of It's the British Who Murder Our Presidents at the link in the description. Share this video and stay vigilant, because the fight for our republic is hour by hour now.